What's going on, everyone? So the Portland Trailblazers, Jerami Grant, they would love to get off of Jerami Grant. A lot of Portland insiders, not like Lakers, not like neutral, like literally Portland people, have made several reports about how, hey, they want to get off of Jerami Grant, but they're kind of stuck with Jerami Grant because they don't want to give up assets to get off of Jerami Grant. You know, like there's teams that'd be willing to probably take him on, but they want assets in return. They want a first, or they want, other assets. There was reports that I covered from, again, Portland's side of things that talked about how Portland may look to buy him out. Now, even in that video, I said, I don't think they'll look to buy him out this season. I could see maybe next season him being a potential buyout candidate, right? And maybe they kind of waive and stretch him, especially as guys start moving into like, hey, they're going to have to start paying guys and giving guys contracts, right? Like Sharpe and stuff like that. So I could see maybe the potential of them buying him out next season rather than this year. So it's something to kind of keep an eye on. Now, problem is, again, he has one of, after the Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal, especially the Bradley Beal contract, he might have the worst contract or one of the worst contracts in basketball. I mean, his contract is pretty hefty. There's a couple guys definitely in the running, but you can make an argument for him. He's making $32 million this year, $34 million next, and then he has a player option for $36.5 million. He's not going to turn that down, right? Which is why I don't think that Portland would buy him out this year, because I mean, you're talking $103 million that they'd have to buy out, waive, and stretch. And then, they already did it with Ayton, so they'd have to kind of stretch. Like, it'd be tough. It'd be a mess. I don't think that they do it this season. Maybe next season, like I said, when everything kind of resets, and then they can buy out, stretch, and waive him. And then they'd only have to pay him, like $70 million, right? Which still a lot of money, but big difference. That extra $30 million, you could do a shorter time, or maybe they can work something out. Maybe he waives his player option to go somewhere else and get a new contract. If he knows he can get a new contract, you never know. Right? The only way I really see him maybe looking to be bought out this year would be if he just kind of pushes for it. Right? It's like, does he start? Does he play? How many minutes does he play? Does he kind of because Portland's kind of going the young route, the defensive route, Chauncey Billups has a specific way that he wants to go about this. Jerami Grant kind of feels like the odd man out, especially with Denny and all these guys that they've gotten now. It's like, where does he kind of slot in? And, do you really want him playing over the guys that you're trying to develop the next few years? Right? Do you really want Jerami Grant hogging up 30 minutes a night, when you're trying to get 2, 3, 4 young guys, their development, right? You got Kamara, you got, Denny, you got these guys that you would rather have slotted in your forward spots than a Jerami Grant. So if they can get off of Jerami Grant, or if Jerami Grant kind of gets the itch, maybe he'd be more willing to take less money, and then maybe they can work something out. Who knows? Keep an eye on it. But I wanted to talk about so the Portland Trailblazers don't want to give up an asset. They don't want to give up any picks to land or to have a team take Jerami Grant. However, according to some of these Portland reports, they may look and may be interested in giving up a guy like Sharpe in a potential type of Jerami Grant trade. So it's like, hey, we won't give you picks, but we'll give you, a young player who Sharpe is 22, just turned 22. We'll give you somebody in a Sharpe as a thank you for taking him on for us. Now, I don't really know. Like Sharpe, I like Sharpe a lot. I don't really know why you would look to do that. But especially, he's going to be due a new contract, right? So he's making $8.3 million this year. Right? And then he's going to be a restricted free agent. So maybe they just don't want to pay him. Maybe they think he costs too much to pay, right? But, I mean, if you're the Lakers, because Jerami Grant makes a lot of sense for the Lakers. He does. But I don't like the idea of trading for him. I don't like the idea at all. I just think he's overpaid. I kind of feel like they had their chance. It made more sense previously because the Lakers really kind of needed him. But they just wanted too much. And look, if they would have just traded him, the Lakers didn't try to get greedy, didn't try to get all crazy, they probably would have gotten off of him. Lakers probably would have traded for him. But they wanted the first and all this other. Portland ended up doing this to themselves, right? And now they might have to give up an asset or Sharpe. So if they would be willing to include Sharpe, might be kind of hard to say no, right? So Lakers are interested, and I know that they're trying to like preserve cap space for 2027 and all that stuff, but I've talked about it 100 times. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, how are the Lakers going to do that, right? One, you have Austin Reeves, who's about to get 30 plus million. If DeAndre Ayton works out, you're going to have DeAndre Ayton. If Jake LaRavia works out, you're going to have to pay Jake LaRavia by that point, right? Like, you're going to have multiple guys that you're going to have to pay at that point. And the Lakers are interested in guys like Sam Hauser and all these other guys. It's like, again, those guys all tap into long-term salary space anyway. But something that I've talked about is the Lakers would have to trade more likely than not. Right? Like, if Milwaukee knows that Giannis, or has any inclination that Giannis is going to leave to just go sign with the Lakers, don't you think they're going to try to trade him immediately? And there are teams that would probably do that. So you might need the salaries. You might need the guys. You might need like a Shaedon Sharpe to put in a pack. Like, imagine if you went and traded for Shaedon Sharpe, and then now Giannis does become available. Now you have, 3 firsts, Shaedon Sharpe, Austin Reeves, right? You have a Dude Thero if you need to. Like, you have now a young package. If you haven't traded Dalton Connect, now you actually have a more competitive, comparable package to go and do that. Make that trade. Still have multiple pick swaps, right? Like, here you go. So getting a guy in like a Shaedon Sharpe in the trade, even though it would suck to go and trade for Jerami Grant, it might make sense because now you have Jerami Grant for the next few years. He's going to have a $36 million expiring contract in 2 years, right? So you could go and use that as like a leverage point to go and make trades and moves and other trades, or just let that money fall off and then go sign a guy, right? Like, but you'd be getting a guy in Sharpe who, one, you could use to trade if that star becomes available. You could also use Jerami Grant's salary, because you're probably going to have to send out salary. If the Lakers have clear sheets, right, like, you don't have salary to send out. Like, yeah, you could, if you have enough money, you could just kind of absorb the contract. But usually, there needs to be some player transaction involved. But point is, like, Shaedon Sharpe could give you a piece for now and the future at 22 years old, give you some real upside at the 2 and the 3, right? A guy that also would give you insurance if you were to trade Austin Reeves. Not saying that they will. I don't think that they would, but maybe you could look to kind of, now you have Sharpe, you're going to have to pay Sharpe. Maybe you can give Sharpe less than what you gave Austin Reeves, and then now you can look to sign and trade Austin Reeves, right? And now you can go make other moves and other trades and stuff like that. Or you could just go and keep him and have him slot in at the 3 or whatever if you want to, right? Just, it gives you flexibility and options with the young player that's involved, and an incentive to take a guy in Jerami Grant who actually makes sense player-wise. Right, Jerami Grant would be great player-wise alongside Luka and LeBron and Austin Reeves and DeAndre Ayton, right? Him slotted in a 3, right? There have been concerns with his defense and shooting, like his percent. But again, it's one thing when you're playing on Portland. It's another thing when you're playing alongside LeBron James, Luka Doncic, not Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and you're contending for championships and you're playing a role, and now it's time to buy in. It's kind of hard when you're Jerami Grant to buy in defensively every possession when it's like, we're losing by 20, right? And you want me to be the best player out here. And not just that, many of these past few years, he's been the primary scoring option and primary option, period, where it's like, he has to do so much more. Where now he's going to a team like the Lakers, it's just like, hey, dude, we just need you to be a 3-point shooter, create a little bit for yourself, but play some defense, right? And you wouldn't have to give up, the key is you wouldn't have to give up any of your assets. The problem is the amount of salary you'd have to send out, right? Because even adding in Shaedon Sharpe, right, like, you may need to get a third team involved to actually pull it off. And also, if I'm the Lakers, I would want to try to clear salary too in the process. Like, hey, we're taking Jerami Grant. We want to clear a roster spot. So, because you'd have to send out, because here's the challenges, right? Not only do you need a trade for Jerami Grant's contract, you need to add Shaedon Sanders, there we go, into that contract, and you need to free up enough cap space to fill out the rest of your roster. It's a lot. Talking like $50 million you'd have to send out. Right? So you'd have to have some type of incentive, which is what makes the challenge of getting those guys, right? Because you could do Rui, Maxi Kleber, and Gabe Vincent get you to 40 and some change, right? So, add in a Dalton Connect, you're at 40. You have it, you have enough to get off of those guys, like to go get a Sharpe. I don't know why I keep saying Sanders. I'm thinking Shaedon Sanders because, the Cavs, he balled out, which good for him. But, I just have Shaedon Sanders. But point is Sharpe, stay Sharpe. He's somebody that I think could, make some sense for now and the future for the Lakers. But again, you're talking his contract, not the new one that they'd have to give him. I'm talking about to trade for him right now. That is $8.4 million. All right. So it's like, okay, that's digestible. You could easily do that. That's not the problem. But it's Jerami Grant's contract on top of the Sharpe contract. Right. You have so you basically have $40 million that you need to accumulate. Right. So $32 million for Jerami Grant, and then like I said, you're talking another $8.4 million for Sharpe. So you're talking, little $40.5 million. Right? Like I said, Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent get you to $30 million. Add in a Maxi Kleber, that gets you to $41 million. So that clears that, but you also need to fill out roster spots. So you'd have to trade Dalton Knecht. Right? So now if you had Dalton Knecht, now you clear like $5 million off your books, and now you can bring in guys, right? So it wouldn't just be, like if you were to do that, trade Knecht and all that stuff, right? You'd be sending out, like I said, 4 players for 2, but you'd clear $5 million off your books. So it wouldn't just be Gabe, Kleber, and Dalton Knecht and Rui Hachimura for Jerami Grant and Sharpe. It would be, those for Sharpe, Jerami Grant, as well as potentially a Al Horford and a DeAnthony Melton. Because especially if Chicago and the Warriors end up doing that double sign and trade, they might not be able to do it. And if you have the roster spots in the cap space, you can now go to those guys and be like, hey, dude, look, we just traded for Jerami Grant. We just got Sharpe. We add you to the mix, right? Let's go win a championship, right? And now you have that incentive. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.